Penguins are flightless seabirds that live almost exclusively below the equator. Some island dwellers can be found in warmer climates, but most, including the emperor, chinstrap, and Gentoo penguins, reside in and around icy Antarctica. A thick layer of blubber and tightly packed, oily feathers are ideal for colder temperatures. The 18 different species of penguins can be widely in shape and size, but all have black bodies and white bellies. This protective countershading allows them to hide from predators like leopard seals and orcas while they swim. While penguins can't fly, their stiff flippers, webbed feet, and sleek shape make them expert swimmers. In fact, they spend most of their lives in the ocean, and do nearly all of their hunting for krill, squid, and crabs underwater. They can swim about 15 miles an hour, and when they want to go faster, they often porpoise, or leap out of the water as they swim. Life on land. On land, penguins have an upright stance, and tend to waddle, hop, or run with their bodies angled forward. Polar penguins can travel long distances quickly by tobogganing, or sliding across the ice on their bellies and pushing forward with their feet. If it's especially cold, they huddle together in large colonies that protect them from predators and provide warmth. These colonies consist of thousands, and even millions, of penguins. Breeding. Penguins come ashore to lay their eggs and raise their chicks. Most penguins stay with their mate for many years, and lay only 1 or 2 eggs at a time. Parents take turns keeping their eggs warm, and when they hatch, feeding and protecting the chicks. For a few weeks each year, thousands of baby birds wait together, while their parents forage for food. When mother and father return, chicks listen for the unique audio frequency of their parents' call, allowing them to reunite in a large noisy crowd. Soon after the chicks fledge, parents will begin molting. Unlike some birds that shed a few feathers at a time, penguins lose all their feathers at once during a process called the catastrophic molt. They condense this process to just a few weeks, because they must fast during this time. They can't hunt without their waterproof feathers. Conservation and threats. About 2/3 of penguin species are listed as threatened on the IUCN Red List, making them one of the most endangered seabirds. Loss of habitat, disease and infectious diseases spread by tourists loom as threats. Commercial fishing in the Southern Ocean is also a significant concern, as it has reduced fish supply by about half in the Antarctic Peninsula. This forces many penguins to compete for food, and puts them in danger of getting accidentally captured by fishing nets. Among the biggest threats to penguin populations is climate change. Warming in the polar regions has melted sea ice, which penguins depend on to find food and build nests. Rapidly changing conditions mean Antarctica could lose most of its penguins to climate change by the end of the century. To survive, they may have to relocate to new habitats. Where do penguins live? Considered marine birds, penguins live up to 80% of their lives in the ocean, according to the New England Aquarium. All penguins live in the southern hemisphere, though it is a common myth that they all live in Antarctica. In fact, penguins can be found on every continent in the southern hemisphere. It is also a myth that penguins can only live in cold climates. The Galapagos penguin, for example, lives on tropical islands at the equator. What do penguins eat? Penguins are carnivores. They eat only meat. Their diet includes krill, squid and fish. Some species of penguin can make a large dent in an area's food supply. For example, the breeding population of Adelie penguins can consume up to 1.5 million metric tons of krill, 115,000 metric tons of fish and 3,500 metric tons of squid each year, according to SeaWorld. The yellow-eyed penguin is very tenacious when foraging for food. It will dive as deep as 120 meters up to 200 times a day looking for fish, according to the Yellow-Eyed Penguin Trust. Mating in baby penguins. A group of penguins is called a colony, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. During the breeding season, penguins come ashore to form huge colonies called rookeries, according to SeaWorld. Most penguins are monogamous. This means that male and female pairs will mate exclusively with each other for the duration of mating season. In many cases, the male and female will continue to mate with each other for most of their lives. For example, research has found that chinstrap penguins repaired with the same partner 82% of the time, and Gentoo penguins repaired 90% of the time. At around 3 to 8 years old, a penguin is mature enough to mate. Most species breed during the spring and summer. The male usually starts the mating ritual, and will pick out a nice nesting site before he approaches a female. After mating, the female emperor or king penguin will lay a single egg. All other species of penguins lay 2 eggs. The 2 parents will take turns holding the eggs between their legs for warmth in a nest. The one exception is the emperor penguin. The female of this species will place the egg on the male's feet to keep warm in his fat folds, while she goes out and hunts for several weeks. When penguin chicks are ready to hatch, they use their beaks to break through the shell of their eggs. This process can take up to 3 days. After the chicks emerge, the parents will take turns feeding their offspring with regurgitated food. Penguin parents can identify their offspring by unique calls that the chick will make. Reproduction. Many features of the penguin life cycle vary with body size and geographic distribution. The chronology of breeding may also vary within a species in relation to latitude. The majority of species breed only once each year. Certain species, such as the African penguin, probably other members of this genus, and the blue penguin, breed twice a year. The king penguin breeds twice in 3 years. One egg is laid by the emperor and king penguins. All others lay 2 or occasionally 3. Most penguins begin breeding in the austral spring or summer. King penguins are on a 14 to 18-month cycle, and the timing of an individual pair depends on the success or failure of the previous breeding attempt. Some populations of the Gentoo penguin also breed in winter. The breeding of the emperor penguin begins in autumn, apparently timed so that the long developmental period will produce the young in midsummer, when their chances of survival are greatest. The Gentoo, which is a circumpolar distribution, is notable for its lack of synchrony among populations, but otherwise its breeding schedule is essentially comparable to that of most other species. In the Crozet Islands off southern Africa, for example, egg-laying takes place in July. The 2 eggs are incubated for 35 or 36 days, and the rearing of the chick takes 2 months. The last immature birds go to sea in January. Many types of visual and vocal displays are employed between the arrival of the birds at the colony and their departure. Courtship calls are used during pairing, and to a lesser degree during the succeeding phases of breeding. There are marked vocal differences between sexes in the emperor penguin and the king penguin, and less marked dimorphisms in some other species. Upon arrival at the colony, each bird returns to the nest that it left the previous year, and generally rejoins its mate of the previous year, unless the death of the latter forces it to choose another partner. This applies even to the emperor penguin, which is capable of finding its mate despite the absence of a nest, and the large size of the colony. These are things you never knew about penguins. The first one, the smallest type of penguin, is only around 10 inches tall. Growing only to a height of 10 to 12 inches, blue penguins are also known as little penguins. They're native to Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania. The second one, the largest, however, can grow to be over 4 feet. Emperor penguins are the largest species of penguins. Native to Antarctica, they're characterized by their regal stature. They can grow upwards of 50 inches tall. The third one, penguins' black and white coloring is the perfect camouflage for swimming in the ocean. Known as countershading, penguins' black and white coloring protects the birds from predators such as leopard seals and sharks. As seen from below, their white undersides are hard to distinguish from the brightness of the ocean's surface. Fourth one, penguins tend to be monogamous. The majority of penguin species are monogamous. During mating season, one male penguin will pair off with one female penguin, but it's the female birds who compete for a mate. The fifth one, there are same-sex penguin couples. Along with bears and flamingos, penguins are among the 1,500 animal species that practice same-sex coupling. At Wingham Wildlife Park in Kent, England, 2 male Humboldt penguins named Jumps and Kermit raised a chick that the baby's father had refused to incubate. In New York City, Roy and Silo, a pair of chinstrap penguins at Central Park Zoo, incubated a fertile egg and reared the chick when she hatched. The sixth one, male emperor penguins incubate eggs, while the female goes hunting. While female emperor penguins go on a 2-month hunting trip, the males protect and warm newly laid eggs by sheltering them in a sack of feathered skin, called a brood pouch. Incredibly, male emperors eat nothing until the females return to regurgitate food for their chicks. Then, they're free to leave their young, and can head to the sea to find something to eat. Seventh one, some penguins can reach speeds of 22 miles an hour. Gentoo penguins are the fastest penguin species. In the water, they can reach swimming speeds of 22 miles an hour. 8.1, the deepest dive ever made by a penguin was more than 6,000 feet underwater. On average, penguins can reach underwater depths of 30 to 60 feet. Emperors, the diving champions of the penguin world, can typically dive 1,700 feet below the water. But one emperor penguin dove an astonishing 6,081 feet. 9.1, the world's oldest penguin is estimated to be an impressive 40 years old. At Birdland, a wildlife park in Gloucestershire, England, you'll find the world's oldest penguin. Missy, a king penguin, is estimated to be an impressive 40 years old. In captivity, the maximum lifespan for the species is 41 years, versus 26 years in the wild. 10th one, emperor penguins huddle to keep warm. Emperor penguins famously huddle to survive frigid Arctic winters. To ensure the birds in the middle of the group don't overheat, they move in a subtle, coordinated rotation every 30 to 60 seconds. And like all penguin species, emperors have arteries in their legs that adjust blood flow in response to the temperature of their feet. So, today we are talking about some details about penguins. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.